we do need to talk about this Auston Matthews season. And I know you kind of hit on it there, Steve. But it is the most special season that we've seen from any single Leaf player thus far. Through 20 games, we've never seen anything like this. You can't tell me we have, because we haven't. We actually have not. 18 goals, 18 games, not bad. Now, I have a question. For the same reason, Steve, that you would not give Matthews a crown for the longest time, and I would not give Marner the crown for the longest time, I have a feeling that he's going to have a hard time winning any major awards. Now, the reason I have for this is I think that writers, the people that vote on these things, also take that same viewpoint. Well, it seems obvious who this person should be, but what if I went a different route? Case in point, 2017. Connor McDavid is the clear-cut favorite and the best player in the entire league. Who does the Hart Trophy go to? Taylor Hall. And what's the big distinction? And we had a huge debate about it at that time, guys. What was the big distinction?
The Oilers didn't make the playoffs, and Hall's New Jersey Devils did.
Right.
Wasn't McDavid not even nominated?
How does that? Oh, I don't even remember. But how does that look in posterity? Really?
Well, I was a Hall guy, and I was wrong. He had a magical season. He was the sole reason the New Jersey Devils made the playoffs that year. And he wasn't the best player like Connor McDavid was. Most valuable, which I think was the argument. Okay, maybe. But because the Oilers didn't make the playoffs, maybe that makes McDavid even more valuable to the Oilers because he was that good and they still sucked.
Because they didn't finish dead last. The other thing I want to say is look at what happened last year. And I'm not saying Leon Draisaitl didn't deserve it, but you are going to try to argue to me that Connor McDavid isn't the most valuable player on the Oilers?
Well, and he was good without McDavid for 2 weeks, but no one gave a shit that Nathan McKinnon literally just willed the Avalanche through last season.
Agreed.
Despite all the injuries.
Agreed.
One thing I will say, knowing that is important criteria, how you play without certain, with certain adversity in front of you, games like tonight against Calgary, I think are going to count big because, boy, are the Leafs shorthanded.
They are, but thankfully not in the high power thing. I just want to wrap this point quickly, Steve, before we get to tonight's game, because there's lots to get to there. I think the point I'm trying to make is I think there's going to be a lot of writers who go, what's the answer other than Auston Matthews when it comes to the Hart Trophy, when it comes to the Selke, which is the runner-up Hart? Let's be honest. Well, the Selke is the runner-up Hart Trophy.
They've written themselves, yes, that's true. They, at least for forwards, they've written themselves into this interesting corner because, Matthews is doing good. Well, it's because of Marner. All right, well, let's have that McDavid conversation then. Let's have that Draisaitl conversation then. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying we're not saying none of those players aren't great. And you know what? One of those two, Draisaitl, McDavid, probably wins the Hart. But I'm saying Matthews maybe gets a Selke nom, but I don't know if people are going to vote for him in the same way that you think, even if he does score that many goals, because people are going to say, writers are going to, they're like this. They're going to be like, well, what about somebody else on some basic other ridiculous level? Even though Matthews will clearly deserve it if he continues at this pace.
Yeah, it's going to be, well, and also writers are conscious of, people think the Toronto media is biased. They're actually very conscious of trying to avoid coming across that way.
Right.
To the point where they won't vote Leaf. So I think at this rate anyway, a lot of ballots will include McDavid and Matthews, but probably with McDavid first.
Yep. Even if we get a 50 goal, 50 game thing, which would be crazy.
Man, if he actually does that, he's got to win it. I don't give a shit if McDavid scores 2.5 points a game. 50 and 50 is special, and it hasn't been done for so long. If Matthews actually pulls that off, he'll win.
When the last time it was it Brett Hall?
God.
I'll look it up.
Look at it. Yeah, let's look that because it's got.
Has it even happened in our lifetime?
Yes, it has. It has to have, because Brett Hall scored 76 with the Blues, and Solani had 70 plus with the Jets. So
the last official 50 and 50 season is Brett Hall 91-92.
That's the year Jesse was born.
Yeah. There's a couple unofficial 50 and 50 seasons.
Okay.
So Yari Curry did it in 84-85, but it was the 50th game of the season. but it was 53rd game. So it needs to be the team's 50th game of the season and not your 50th game of the season is how it's described.
So he had missed some games.
Oh, so
Matthews
he's
had some games.
So
he's a goal behind.
Cam Neely did it in 44 games played, but his team had already played 66 games, so it doesn't count.
Holy
for the Boston
Cam
Bruins.
Neely was so good.
That's
Yeah, man.
crazy.
We were robbed of Cam Neely. We were robbed. Injuries.
Wow.
Brutal. There's an all-time underrated player. Him, I think Mike Bossy's another one where you're like, Jesus, look at the goals those guys.
Pavel Bure, Peter
another name on the near on the
Palpy, I think. What's that?
Do you want another name on the 50 and 50 but doesn't count list?
Yes.
Sure.
Alexander McGinley in 92-93 for the Sabres. He did it in 46 games, but it was the team's 53rd game.
Why doesn't that count? That's so
Scored 76 goals in 77 games that year.
Why do we do that?
McGinley.
Why do we make this difficult?
because they make longevity or durability, I should say, part of it.
That is dumb. Did the player do it in the amount of games or not?
No, here's how ridiculous 50 and 50 is in today's NHL. Because I remember, I want to say I was an intern at the Fan, so it was like around 2008 or something. Ovechkin had a shot at 50 and 50, and it was a story that was followed for like close to a month. He had a shot at 50 and 50, but it wasn't for that season. It was dating back to the last. So it was like the last chunk of last season and going into this one. So he ended hot and started hot.
I remember that.
But for someone to have a realistic shot at it, like this season from game one, Andy's missed a game. It's wild that we're 19 games into the season. He's got 18 goals. It's not crazy to think.
No. Yeah, and it puts in perspective how incredible Gretzky did it in 37 games it was.
Yeah.
Like, that's stupid. And you can era adjust all you want. That's fucking sick. Like, there's just no other way around.
There's no
that. That's
era adjusting Gretzky's numbers. Like that part is ridiculous. He's so far and away ahead of everyone that it's just clearly he's the best.
Did you hear? Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Well, this is one of Jeff Merrick's favorite stats, and this should give you an idea of how head and shoulders above everybody else Wayne Gretzky was. Who was the second highest scoring NHL player of the 80s? We could sit here all day. You won't get it.
Marcel Dion?
No.
Who is it?
Peter Stastny.
Really?
Yeah.
What?